In this portion of the session, I will be sharing the situation of Ateneo Dinaga University in doing blended learning. We begin with the first topic on blended learning modalities. Ateneo Dinaga University is currently implementing blended learning. Our journey started prior to the pandemic when teachers were encouraged to avail of asynchronous sessions to supplement face-to-face classes. The pace was very slow. It should be noted, however, that CMO 27 series of 2005 on distance education limits online components to no more than 25% of the curriculum. Then COVID-19 hit and blended learning utilization jumped from minimal to optimal because it became the default modality of instruction until limited face-to-face classes was allowed starting the second semester of school year 2021-2022. At present, our university is implementing three modalities of instruction, namely full face-to-face, full online, and flexible blended online learning, which is actually a combination of the first two. A Google Classroom is centrally created for each course, regardless of modality, to provide backup due to the fluid situation of the pandemic. In the selection of modality of instruction, the departments consider the course learning outcomes and/or required access to specific school facilities like laboratories. For clearer context, let me provide data on the choice and implementation of the three modalities. Of the 1,412 courses offered this first semester, 87.78% or 124 classes are delivered face-to-face. These are mostly laboratory courses, related learning experience, and practicum courses. 60.9% or 850 courses are delivered fully online, mostly general education courses and lecture courses, major or elective, with an additional 109 courses delivered face-to-face, but they require face-to-face online exams. And the rest, 23.30%, are delivered using blended learning modality. There will certainly be changes in the modality of instruction this coming semester because of the issuance of CMO 16 series of 2022, which no longer allow full online courses and which also requires blended learning courses to have at least 50% of the contact hours on face-to-face. Still, in our university, we foresee that the implementation of blended learning is assured because when we adopted the transition plan, we have a strategic direction and a goal that essentially requires the utilization of blended learning modality. So the strategic direction is systematizing a truly flexible academic institution that will ensure the unimpeded flow of teaching and learning despite any social and environmental disruptions. Let me now focus on the issues and challenges. I'll be discussing five. The first is on faculty retooling. And so we organized in-house seminar workshops related to BOL. And then we also supported the participation of faculty and academic administrators in similar externally organized activities. I would like to note that in school year 2020-2021, due to the narrow window to implement retooling activities, we had to design a common retooling program for all faculty members. It helped also that we had an existing policy guideline which required probationary faculty to attend retooling activities, which we had to just refocus to blended learning requirements. Currently, the specific requirements are being updated. ICT infrastructure and power outages is another issue. So we responded to the ICT infrastructure requirements by securing additional subscription for increased bandwidths. We made sure that we subscribe to several providers. And then we also allocated bandwidth for specific facilities, like the library and the laboratories. And for certain activities, we also allocate as needed. So when there are examinations, then the laboratories will have increased bandwidth. Then we also provided additional hotspots in the campus to increase the areas with reliable internet access. And for power outages, we can only address the situation in the campus, and we made sure that we maintain and provide a system of generators. During announced power interruptions, of course, the faculty and students can come to the campus. Then another concern is the budget for ICT, hardware, software, and even the personnel that will tend to it. Here, we had no choice but to implement strategic budget prioritization, or we stretch the implementation over a longer timeline. So instead of attending to it for 1 year, then we can stretch the acquisition, for example, of technology over 2 years. And then we had to recalibrate and rationalize school fees, because as a private institution, our major source of income really are the tuition and other fees. And so we were forced to charge, for example, a fee for the learning management system. And then another issue is the changing policies, guidelines, and standards related to BOL. And a very recent example here is the issuance of CMO 16 series of 2022. And the reality is, as a private institution, we had no choice but to comply. And to do that, we have to recalibrate plans to the extent possible to mitigate the impacts. One thing going for Ateneo de Naga University, of course, is that as an autonomous school and with program accreditation, we may have some flexibility in that regard. The last in this portion is the curriculum revision. We like to note that all curricula adopted, the current curricula were adopted only in school year 2018-2019, and were not yet tried for hard revisions. In fact, we only graduated the first batch last June. So instead, in school year 2020-21 and the next 2 school years, we made adjustments to focus only on the minimum standards. So essentially, focusing on the depth rather than the breadth, in part to manage the study load of students. So in Jesuit education, we refer to that as not many, but much. Now, let me focus on the ways forward, strategies that we need to implement to secure, to sustain BOL implementation. And again, I'll be highlighting 5. The first is ensuring the alignment of related employment provisions to support BOL. And among these could be the performance evaluation tools. Faculty members, we realized that the tools were designed for face-to-face classes. Then also academic consultation and counseling requirements will have to be reviewed. In Ateneo de Naga University, we require full-time faculty members to set aside 7.5 hours for consultation. And how do you deliver that optimally to support BOL? Certainly, standards for faculty ranking will have to be reviewed. The criteria for faculty awards to incentivize adoption of BOL. Research agenda can be reviewed to help also BOL by focusing, for example, on evaluation of practices. Then certainly, continuing faculty development program is required. Then, adopting and implementing a responsive facility development plan will have to be also attended to. The implementation of blended learning modality necessitates the initial, then periodic upgrading of existing facilities, and that can be programmed in an overall plan. In the context of private higher education institution, that will also have to dovetail with securing revenue sources to support plan implementation, which is the next strategy. So for that, we will need to look at the existing schedule of fees for blended learning and rationalize them. An example here would be probably the unbundling of the library fee. The library fee is utilized for several expenses. One would be the journals, electronic journals, and then books. In blended learning, the shift will be to electronic formats. So more budget for ebooks and other resources. So probably unbundling will be helpful because then the increases can be rationalized in the unbundled fees. And where necessary, new charges could also be justified and collected. The fourth is establishing robust quality assurance system or adopting an existing one for blended learning. Ateneo de Naga University has been subscribing to voluntary accreditation of its programs under PASCO, and the QA provisions in place will have to be updated to keep up or align with the requirements and expected results of blended learning, and to sustain a cycle of improvement. A development in this regard is that the accreditation instrument and standards have already been revised, and the university will have to be mindful to make the necessary adjustments and meet the revised standards. But an underpinning strategy here is actually the adoption of an inclusive way of proceeding. We realize that there are key stakeholders and they should be able to participate in processes related to the adoption of university policies and standards and guidelines, the development of capacity programs. The faculty members will have to be involved while we consider the needs also of the students who are the ultimate clients. And their participation will also be beneficial when we need to determine and prioritize the needs, for example, due to limited financial resources. So we say, paraphrasing a more familiar dictum, we say that transparency is the best policy. Partly also to secure a buy-in to the developments and to ensure also that the clients and the stakeholders will have a clearer appreciation of the challenges and will also probably result to a more resilient community and an understanding community when we face challenges in the implementation. So thank you.